Andy went outside. This is hail that has fallen right here. And I don't know, I would say this is about dime size hail, Andy.
Yeah, up to nickel size.
Yeah.
A couple of those were attached at one time. So.
Yeah, this is a pretty big hailstone that we just picked up outside with the thunderstorms. It's probably hard to see, but it's a pretty decent size hailstone that just is coming down right now with this thunderstorm as it's making its way through mid-Michigan. So that's a concern, right? It's very heavy rainfall as well as some hail that's coming down. I'm going to go put this down. But we are seeing very intense thunderstorms as these are making their way through mid-Michigan. With these thunderstorms. Can't say I've ever done that before, Andy. But we are seeing this severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect until 5:15. And again, look at that pink that's showing up right near Holt. So that is potentially some hail that's coming down with this thunderstorm, as well as a lot of heavy rain. I mentioned that the flood advisory was in effect for this Lansing metro area as well. So some very heavy rainfall is coming down. But again, the severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect for 5:15 until 5:15. Damaging wind gust is still a concern, as well as some very heavy rainfall and large hail as this thunderstorm continues to make its way through the area. And it's not moving very quickly either. So that's another thing.
Largest hail right now is Holt Road, Aurelius, near North Cedar. Headed as obviously off to the east, so it's going to be towards College Road eventually. We are on the back edge. In fact, looking out the window here, the sun is trying to come out on the west of us, so the hail and rain is starting to taper off. But the core of this hail is now shifting east of Aurelius Road, now towards North Cedar, College, that area, and as far south as basically Columbia Road. So those are the areas that are under the gun with this larger hail that's coming down right now. So obviously when you're in the hail part of the storm, you're also in the worst part of the storm. It would be next to this core that we would expect to find maybe some air rising up and seeing any kind of rotation. But as of now, this is just a severe thunderstorm warning, and I would say it's pretty severe, especially in the rainfall department, as well as getting that hail here and there. I don't know if the hailstones are large enough to dent your car, but still something you don't want to see in your neighborhood. But that core again is going off to the east, and you can see how it's headed eastward with its southeasterly movement at only 20 miles an hour. So I think it's been raining pretty heavy here at the studio now for about 15 or 20 minutes. So there's going to be a lot of standing water on the roadways as well. And take a quick look at first alert traffic on our other computer, and yeah, there's a lot of slowdowns on I-96, that's for sure, here in South Lansing, just like we saw in Portland earlier when this storm system went on through. So this is the only one in our neck of the woods, and it's producing torrential rains. So obviously that flash flood advisory will go for a little while until all of this pulls off to the east. But it's really the only storm system is right over metropolitan Lansing. There is nothing down in Jackson. Not to say that it won't happen, because I think later this evening they will deal with some of these as this area drifts further and further south. But the only storm in mid-Michigan is right on top of the major metropolitan area, and again producing extremely heavy rains, which means no visibility in the rainfall and some hail as well. So we still have the severe thunderstorm warning. You see the yellow shade there off to the south towards Mason. So that will continue as this storm stays in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and Andy, we are getting some hail reports that's coming in, quarter-size hail in Holt, even up to around an inch in diameter being reported. But I do want to point out, too, is that we are keeping an eye on another thunderstorm that's in northern parts of Ionia County, and that is generally moving off to the east as well. Pretty slow, not moving very quickly, but it is moving. May clip northern parts of Clinton County within the next couple of hours here. So there are some more thunderstorms that are off that way. I just wanted to point that out. But again, we do have the severe thunderstorm warning. What's interesting, too, Andy, is looking at the radar scans, is that it looks like it's taking a little bit of a southeast jog here. So heads up to Mason. This is moving right into Mason at this time. So make sure you are getting inside, getting away from the windows. We're still seeing some rotation with this thunderstorm, but something to keep in mind, and we kind of mentioned it not too long ago, is that this is getting kind of far away from the radar site in Grand Rapids. So what that means for us is that the radar beam shoots off at about a half a degree from the radar, but as it gets further and further away from the radar, because of the curvature of the Earth, it ends up shooting higher and higher into the sky. So we're seeing a little bit higher up into the sky where we're at, away from Grand Rapids. Not to say that there couldn't be some more rotation towards the surface, but that's what we're seeing is kind of rotation a little bit higher up in the sky with this. But that's why we're still kind of hanging on with this, because there is a tornado possible tag on this. But it's not looking all that likely at this point, but if you're within this severe thunderstorm warning, you almost want to treat it like it is a tornado warning and making sure that you're getting inside, getting away from windows, because we do see some of this rotation and some very strong gusty winds nonetheless with this, and we have been seeing some of those reports of hailstones falling from the sky.
I want to go, if we can go over to Max 1, I want to show you the road. This is throughout the afternoon here. So these storms blossom up in Ionia, but look at the green curvatures, all of them pushing south, or even the storm now in Detroit has an outflow coming to the west. So these outflows interact with these storms. You get winds that's showing you the leading wind and the cooler air that came out of the storm, hit the ground and can't go backwards because it's raining, so it goes forward. But all those are going into areas where that could spur another storm. And if you look in northwest, just northwest of Hastings, that's what the gust front did there. Look at it, it's coming out of Grand Rapids, and there you blossom up another storm system. And that's where we get a lot of this rotation happening, is you have the winds in different directions inside the storm. So the radar is picking up that in one part of it, you're having a wind from the one direction, and then as you go up, it's coming from another direction. And many times that we've seen these today, countless times, none of them are reported into any kind of tornado on the ground. Still, it can happen, so that's why we have stay with it when they come through the area. It's finally quieted here in South Lansing at the studio, but the heaviest rains continue to head east between Holt and now headed down towards Mason. And all those outflows, I mention this because that may be the culprit for what will eventually be stronger storms down in Jackson this evening. So all the models are indicating, the high resolution ones, that there may be another area of thunderstorms, say come 7 or 8 o'clock along I-94 in those areas. But the concern for us is the one over Lansing and another one in northern Ionia County, which is moving more east than south. But I think it's just fascinating. Of course, we're into this stuff, but to see the outflows from all these storms producing these winds in different directions, and they help spur more storms.
Yeah, and if we could switch over to the other weather computer, we do have the Consumers Energy outage map pulled up, because we are seeing some power outages, especially in that whole area where we saw the strongest part of these thunderstorms that are happening. We're going to zoom in there. Looks like over 1,500 customers are with power right in that whole area. Again, Andy, that's where we saw the strongest thunderstorm as it was pushing through the area. So it's not that surprising that we're seeing some of these, because hail is a concern, but as well as some damaging wind gusts with these thunderstorms and a tremendous amount of heavy rainfall with this. But we still do have this severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect until 5:15 because we have all the potential at seeing this severe weather with this intense thunderstorm. You know, driving down 127 at this time of day, it is very busy because of all of the rush hour traffic coming out of Lansing, and we are likely seeing that at a standstill, I would almost guess, because it is that heavy of rainfall that is currently happening.
Yeah, it looks like the hail is probably right over 127 at this time. What little hail is left with this system would be right over 127, not far from Harper Road, College Road, and the highway itself. So obviously heavy rain and hail doesn't make well for trying to commute home or wherever you're headed here this evening. So if you can wait it out, that's a slow wait, I know, but if you can wait it out to be a little better trip home, then end the traffic, that's for sure.
Yeah, Andy, I kind of want to point out, it might be hard to see at home, but right here is College Road, and then this is Cedar. So this is on the south side of Holt, where we're seeing that pink color. That is where the radar is telling us that there could be some hail with this. And then, of course, here is along US 127, which is a busy time of day at this time, but it heads up. This is moving off to the east, so it will be approaching Okemos Road and eventually getting to the north side of Mason here not too long, at least where we're seeing the radar showing where there's likely some hail with this thunderstorm. It's a very intense thunderstorm that we've been keeping an eye on, but bringing a tremendous amount of heavy rainfall right along Cedar, which is right here, and then College Road and US 127, all busy roads at this time of day as traffic is leaving the Lansing area during that rush hour commute too, because it is a very intense thunderstorm. So I'm looking at the Consumers Energy outage map too. We're now over 3,000 customers without power. So since we showed it not too long ago, it has doubled in the amount of power outages, all centered around that whole area.
Again, if any video or if you have any pictures of the hail in your neighborhood, and if you can get it safely, do that. I also would recommend you might look in about 20 minutes in the west side of Lansing and south side for rainbows. The sun is coming out on the backside of all this rain. And again, you've seen the circulation, the velocity. There is still some here. A lot of it, I think, is due to these big storms creating these winds when they rush to the ground. But there's no tornado warning for this. It's just all been for very heavy rains and obviously large hail and that warning is going to expire soon, I think, right along 127. It's shrinking as the storm does the same. We have more storms upstream, and as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we'll be keeping our eyes this evening in especially the southern parts of mid-Michigan for maybe more development there. So these storms, that one started before 3 o'clock west of Ionia County, and now it's finally moving through mid-Michigan.
Yeah, that is the same thunderstorm that we were tracking earlier in the day, now moving through the Lansing area on the south side. We did just get a report from the Ingham County emergency manager that there was quarter-size hail reported at College and Holt roads. Exactly what we were saying when we zoomed in the radar there of seeing that large hail that was coming down with this thunderstorm. And we do have this severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect here until about 5:15 here. Andy, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think we're watching this. We're not giving up on it, obviously. We've seen them pulse from doing nothing to having rotation to hail, and I would imagine this system will keep falling apart, but there'll be another one developing down the road, maybe an hour from now, who knows. We're still watching radar closely.
Yeah, so I think we're going to continue to keep an eye on this, but we're going to wrap up our coverage as this intense thunderstorm is moving through mid-Michigan at this time. If we do see any other warnings pop up, we'll of course let you know. But again, keep in mind this thunderstorm is moving to the south and east, so eventually getting into southeastern parts of Ingham County towards Stockbridge. Leslie, we'll start to see some of this thunderstorm as well. But for now, we are going to toss it to a quick commercial break.